do me a favour. If you're listening to this, please hit the subscribe button. Like, share, rate, review the podcast. It really does mean more than you realise.
And I always think there's like the 3 Ps. You've got your people, your profit, of course, and the processes. And it's amazing. You ask people what P is the most important, and they're all important. But I'm like, actually, it's people first. My best friend, he died, so I lost my best friend. And I guess it goes back to, obviously, the heartache that gives. And I think when that happened, I promised to myself, like, you've got to see things positively. Because, you know, being a youngster, it didn't hit me straight away. It hit me further on down the line to lose Russ. And it was a case of, it kind of ignited the flame to be like, no, life is short. We've got to be able to really, like, see the positive where we can. When we started Itty Bitty, actually, that's pretty huge, where we started that, where I left my previous position in the job. So I had 0 income, and unfortunately at the same time, Kate, she was made redundant. So literally there's 0 income with a family to look after. Because of where we was in a position whereby no income, no jobs, we had to make this work. And I call it the wall, and that feeling of anxiety and worry is the wall. And it's, you know, it was awful, because how are we going to pay for the mortgage? How are we going to pay for the car? How are we going to pay for the family? How are we going to pay for food? Literally starting a business and speaking to so many businesses, and the stats that fell after the first year is incredible. And that's what I call the wall. That feeling, like, makes me feel sick. I may not show it, but it makes me feel sick. And I want to be as far as away from that wall as possible. The biggest take I tell people is that anyone wanting to start a business is a case of the best time is probably like yesterday. The next best time is right now. It's just to do it. Just do it, and don't let your brain take over. Just do it.
I believe every business owner has a story to tell. Through seeking true, authentic insights about the entrepreneurial journey, I provide a platform for our peers to share their stories and inspire those that listen. This is the County Business Talks podcast, powered by Picture Book Films. Okay, welcome to another episode of the County Business Talks podcast. My guest on the podcast this week is an SEO expert, an author, studio director, and also something I only found out about him yesterday was that Nintendo used him instead of Ant and Dec in an advert for the flagship Nintendo Mario Brothers game. He was the first person to play the game in the UK, and the adverts were used in Europe with over 1.3 million views. I'm delighted to welcome the gaming sensation himself, Ricky White, into the podcast. Ricky, how you doing, mate?
Thanks so much, Sam. What an introduction. That's it. What an introduction.
Mate, honestly, when you emailed me yesterday, I was like, hey, he's absolute gold. I love things like that.
It was amazing with Nintendo because of, I remember finishing work one day, I came home and I just... Bizarrely, I never do this. Eating my dinner, I was reading the paper, and it says, "Do you play Nintendo games?" And I'm eating my dinner, and I was like, "Yeah, I do." Let's just email off. You know, didn't think anything of it. Literally about 2 weeks later, I had a phone call. I was honestly full. It was my mates doing a wind up, saying, "And we want to come down and kind of film you." Okay, who are you? Oh, it's a bit top secret. I can't reveal too much. Is this a wind-up? And eventually they convinced me. They came down and we'd done a screen run with me and my family. And they said, "Rick, we love it. Have you got any friends?" Friends? Okay, why? Oh, can we come back tomorrow? I told my mates, no one believed me. I said, guys, seriously, Nintendo, none of them. Anyway, I managed to convince them. And then, there we was, filming for the brand new Super Mario Bros. Wii. I was the first person to play the game, and it was insane. I've never seen a Nintendo Wii console. It was like security guard brought this box in. Yeah. If I recall, it was purple. You had to have someone from Japan to punch in the code to open this. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it. Wow. And they would say, "Rick, you are the first person." And then, you had to film it. It was insane. Absolutely insane it was.
Absolutely. I obviously had to watch the advert.
Oh, did you watch it? Oh, no.
You was gold. You was absolute gold.
I've aged a bit, the grey hair.
Looking well, mate. At least you've got your hair, so you're doing all right. You're doing all right. You don't have to wear a baseball cap to cover it up. But, mate, listen, thanks so much for coming on. It's been great. Obviously, know you and sort of
That's
follow each
it,
other's
yeah.
social media networks and stuff. So it's great to have you on. And just let's jump. We're going to jump in.
Yeah,
And just
that's
tell listeners a little bit about you and your story.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Sam. Pleasure to be here, avid listener. And I guess for myself, I'm Brighton born and bred.
Yeah.
So, and for myself, I guess from the early start, I go back on my career to where I am now, because a lot of things I've learned along the way.
Yeah.
So I remember being, say, obviously local schools, and I had a passion for art. So that's where the creative side comes in through website marketing.
Yeah.
And even now, even when we go over to the school with the kids, my artwork's still up there. It's been about 2 decades.
Wow.
It's insane, and no one believes me, but it's true. Look, see that picture is there. We did that. There's my name, and it's from school. The passion for art. So I went to go to college, and something quite fascinating about me. I literally lasted 1 day, because I went there and it was all this modern art. It was like Matchbox stuck on the wall. It was tissue paper coming down, and that day I had to decide, which effectively shaped my life to where I am. You know, today, because I decided, you know what, that's not going to earn me money. It's not something it didn't fit well. So I left there and got a job in Toys R Us at the Goldstone. So obviously loved it there, absolutely loved it. And from there, it was really cool, because I'd just done an entry-level job. I was new to the working world. Yeah. But the job which everyone wanted was the job on multimedia, selling the Nintendos, the Segas, selling the consoles, PC. And Andy Knight, if he's listed, he was the cool guy. He was like the quarterback in the American school. Yeah. He had the looks, that was the job to have. And the management came to me and said, Rick, okay, you can have that job. Okay, but there's one thing you must do. I said, anything, give me anything. And they set me up with the challenge to sell Sky TV. And I was like, wait, to sell Sky TV in a toy shop? Gee, talk about making it hard. And again, it all links in skills where with marketing is about being different. Yeah. And this was one of the first kind of recalls which it kind of blew away the amount of success. So the way I would pitch Sky would be, I'll go up to kind of families, hello, look, how would you like to save 90% off your BT phone bill? Which you could do with Sky TV, and no one knew that. That was my opening line. We became the fastest store selling all the Sky TV. We won money for the store as well. Sky couldn't believe it, because we just ellipsed every single store, and it got me the position, but even more so, became the youngest at that time manager in Toys R Us history. Wow. I was only like 17, I think, at that time. And it was like, this is insane. So it's from there where a lot of marketing or thinking different really came into now.
Because it's interesting you say, because that's those sales skills or those people skills, really. Like you can tell, you've got that energy around you, and having being a people person, being around and obviously interacting and getting on. But those people skills that you can relate to any business, any career, any job, whatever you're doing in life, those life skills that you get from just being a people, being able to communicate and selling, I suppose, selling whatever. I look at when I had the salon. I was a salesperson. I wasn't a salesperson, but I owned a salon. I was selling services in some way, and those skills. I'd never class myself as a salesperson, but ultimately, whatever business you run, whether I'm doing five-a-side football or magazine advertise, whatever it is, there is an element of selling, but it's about building relationships.
Absolutely. And one thing I say all the time now, and it makes people stop. I said, people, and I said, you go in a shop, you literally walk in, give it 3 seconds. Hi, can I help you? Or hi, is there anything in particular you're looking for? Hello. People don't like being sold to, but they love shopping with friends. And that's the attitude. So you'll be like, hi, New York Yankees. You like Yankees or Mets? It's just that. But it's the mindset. And I tell everyone this, and eventually it sinks in, you know what? Because they feel they're pressurised to doing that. And it actually ties in nicely, because from Toys R Us, built my way up. And it was a case of, I left all of that to join a part-time job for this thing called mobile phones at Vodafone in Churchill Square. And bear in mind, for 17, manager, this was great. And literally worked my way up from part-time, full-time salesperson, senior salesperson, all the way up to assistant manager, regional sales trainer. I was everything bar manager, because I did not want to be a manager. I was too young at that time. And absolutely, what we spoke about, sales, people don't like being sold to. They like shopping with friends. And I say it it's funny, if I went to the gym, you wouldn't go there like, hi, come and buy this coffee or stuff. You'd be just complimenting or say hello. And it links into some of the marketing techniques, especially on social media, that no one does. It's straight in there, like, let's collab, let's do this, let's do that partnership. And you're like, people don't know you.
Yeah.
So I've used all those skills, funny enough, taking it into Vodafone, and actually in a training role to train people with a little bit of my ethos, I suppose, my mindset, because it is slightly different, because everyone's trained in a specific way, and it's like, no, you should do it a different way.
Because people, one of our parts of county business clubs and one of our bits in our manifesto is that one of our strong core beliefs is that people buy from people, and that's for me. I think I've really bought into when we've done a process with Inside Stories and really got into the narrative of what we're about, and I found it fascinating. But that was one of the strong things that come out of that, and from an elevator pitch, whatever it looks like, it is that people buy from people, and that's the sort of message I'm getting, like listening to you talk. And I think, from a networking point of view, from whenever you go, Brad, I'm sure we both know really well, we'll give him a shout out, Network Milk Club, but you go to a networking event and it's not about selling to people, it's just about building relationships, and I think
100%. I always think there's like the 3 Ps. You've got your people, your profit, of course, and the processes. And it's amazing. You ask people what P is the most important, and they're all important, but I'm like, actually it's people first. If you don't have the right people, the right energy, and it's amazing. So when I employ people or have people part of the team, rightly or wrongly, of course you build a relationship with questions, but the only question I'm interested in, I'll actually ask them, I'll say, I'll be like, Sam, tell me about the greatest day of your life. And when you ask that question, it's amazing, because you'll have people like, the greatest day was the birth of my child, and that's the greatest day of their life. You want to hear their energy, the enthusiasm, the passion. You want to hear them carry on, like they won't shut up. And that's the person, because a lot of things I can train people in, but it goes back to if they've got that energy, and the only way you'll know is actually ask them, tell them about that day. And then sometimes, my little secret is when I re-interview them again, I ask them, like, tell me about that greatest day again, just to make sure the energy's still there. And it's amazing. Not everyone does that. Everyone's really like, it's amazing, and that's, for me, is an important thing. For other business owners, of course not, but it's an amazing question to ask.
It's a really good question, because that energy is hard to, I guess, and always, like, people would say, especially people who follow me or whatever on social, smile on your face and you've got that energy, the blah blah blah, and anything you do, you sort of put that thing in. But for me, it's all exactly similar to yourself, I guess. Is that if I'm going to do something, I want to put everything into it. I want to make sure it's the best I can do, and if I'm not passionate about it, then what am I doing it for, I guess? And that's like this I call this my happy place, because I love it, and I hope, like, the feedback I get, which is thankfully been really positive, and people enjoy listening to it or whatever, is that hopefully you can tell how much I love doing this, and I think that's part of the thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You've got to be passionate about what you're doing, surely.
That's it. And I guess it's like, so for myself, so we run a web studio marketing agency. With every client, I actually take it on board myself, of like, this is my little business, what would I do? And I'm so much more invested than, say, other agencies or marketeers, because it's just a job with ticket sheet. And it's like, no, if things are not working, we need to change it for the better, or try new things, or be brave. A lot of people don't do brave things, but I treat it as my own, because I guess it's like reputation. If I can do a good job, that person's going to tell someone else, and they're like, going to have a chat with Rick, and so forth. But 100% people is so important.
But with that, because obviously you can tell, like I say, you got that energy, you can tell there's that passion about it. But have you always been like that, like from a young age? Have you always had that sort of, that get up and go? Because like you said, as a 17-year-old going in and like you said, selling Sky TV and have it, because so many 17-year-olds potentially would have gone in and go, no, I'm not doing that. That's out of my comfort zone. I don't want to, I'm not sure I understand. Serious. It's the Essex twang.
That's it. The old. I guess it goes back to, I think being a youngster. I guess when I really think back to, when being young, especially in the Vodafone era and beyond, and building business, kind of my best friend, he died, so I lost my best friend, and I guess it goes back to obviously the heartache that gives. And I remember. Actually, this was in a period he came in and visited me. We had a little chat, and it was always quiet. But as soon as anyone comes in and have a chat in the shop, you get customers in. And I remember then I focused on the customer there. So I had that time. And I think when that happened, I promised to myself, like, you've got to see things positively. Because, you know, being a youngster, it didn't hit me straight away. It hit me further on down the line to lose Russ. And it was a case of... It kind of ignited the flame to be like, no, life is short. We've got to be able to really like see the positive where we can. And I made a promise to myself, I think at that point, to be like, no, I'm going to see the positive. We'll keep, you know, rejection comes, life events, business events, etc. But I made that promise. And I guess it's more so for me, but maybe for Russ as well. Like, but that's the promise. I'm not gonna break that promise to myself. And I think that's the real. When I really think back to young Rick, that would have been the period to really made me just positive, enthusiastic. Because Russell was the same, and Russ, you know, I'm pretty laid back. He would do my head in because he was more laid back than me. I hated that. He would never know that. But and I kind of that promise to myself. I think that really started the passion, enthusiasm, because I don't want to break that promise. If I really think back to that, Sam, it is a younger Rick.
How old was you when he passed away?
If I remember, I must be about 18, 19. So it was just like, you know, finishing school, and it was a close knit. It was like, you know, best friends all through Patcham, and it's weird because you don't expect that. You just don't expect that. And I remember when the day it happened with other friends, it was just a case of like, wow, it was just surreal. It was. And then, it's just, I think that really helped in a nice way, kind of not define me, but definitely embedded that into me. And there was a period after that, funny enough, where from the Vodafone era, I went travelling around the world. I thought that was the time because I didn't go to college or uni. I went through the work kind of route. And I thought, let's travel the world to be Japan and America and all over. It was fantastic. Hawaii. And then that time, it was a fair few months, 3-4 months, I'd say. That time allowed me to really just... Again, and that promise to myself it stemmed to is just don't get stressed, because stress can be a hidden killer, effectively. We don't take on it. The world is so much different to what it was back then. With say mobile phones were new, you know, this is all, you know, we didn't have necessarily like social media or the mental health issues there. It was just, again, the promise to myself just to be like, no, you know what, life, you know, because it could happen any time. But that was the point I promised again to myself, just don't be stressed, just try to be calm, collective, see things for what they are, don't overreact, and been my base really, just with anything, clients, moving forwards. Because
it's a hard thing, talking about, I guess, like a traumatic situation like that, and how we, I guess, respond. Like, what's interesting is that, again, I guess the positive take that you've taken from something that was traumatic, like I'm assuming quite a sudden incident with your friend, with Russ, but taking that positive out of it, because certain people can go, like, you know, look at that in a negative way.
That's it.
And not take the actions that you did, and, you know, travel the world, open your mind and for opportunities, and
That's
see what.
It. I always think there's always, like, you've got two sides. Imagine like it's, I don't know, you're in a taxi, it's dark outside, it's raining. You can have the people that will look out maybe the left window. Oh, this weather, it's depressing, it's down. Or you got the other people which will see it totally different. And I guess that's the thing to steer to see it different, to be that positive, to have that energy, because you'll get more enjoyment, more fulfillment, more results, there's more good to come from that. I don't know if this is true, but someone told me, Frederick told me this years ago, true, but I don't think it's true, but I'm going to say it anyway. So don't judge me, Sam. But with an apple, if you cut an apple in half, literally in half, this is a Swedish thing or tradition. But with one apple, if you just literally just shout at it, be negative thoughts or whatever, constant, I don't know how long, but that will rotten more quickly than the other apple. It's a Swedish thing. I have to Google it now. Maybe it's just winding me up.
We need to try that.
But we're like that, and the concept is that obviously, you know, and that's the attitude. You know, it's hard. It's hard to put in the real world, of course. Yeah, but always use that kind of base as the mindset, just to take a step back. Yeah.
I think it's interesting. It's important to reflect on certain things. Like I suppose it's hard. Like speaking to some of the listeners who might be listening and going, it's okay to try and look at that in a positive way, but say if this has happened and this has happened and this is and there could be a lot of bad thing. It's hard sometimes to keep that positive energy up if things are good. Let's take COVID for example. You know what I mean? Like that hit so many companies had to close. You know, and it's sometimes difficult in those situations to go and still remain positive. But I'm similar to yourself. I guess whether it be a failure, whether it be a challenge or something that's happened where there's been an issue, that you can still look at it and go, what's the positive outcome of that? Is there a positive outcome? And if you're always looking for that positive outcome, you know.
I've got a really good tip which I use for all the listeners. So say something bad happens. Imagine I've lost the biggest client I've got today. Yeah. Of course, it's going to suck. So what I'll do, I'll put in a month's time in my calendar, and I'll write down in my calendar, lost that client. How do I feel? Because if you fast forward in a month's time, I look at that and like, oh well, okay. It's not as a big deal as what it happens or any life event. You just put it in 1 month ahead, so you can see, like, you know, if you've broken up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or you've lost your job or something, anything. Put it in 1 month ahead, so it comes up. It will trigger it, but you'll feel so much better further on. Plus, your brain will know that we've actually moved forward. You may not feel like it because everyone's like, oh, this is a sad thing, but that's my top tip, which I do.
I love that
all the time.
And it's we sort of spoke a bit offline, didn't we, about time being our biggest commodity, and yet, like, you're right. Whatever seems a really big problem now, you put that in the future. What does that problem look like? Hopefully, you resolved it in some way, and there's been an outcome, whatever that outcome. But as long as, I guess, ultimately it's taking responsibility for those things, isn't it? I think what you've lost your biggest client, you take responsibility for that for whatever reason that you've lost them. Not saying you go, oh, it's completely my fault and be down about it, but you look at it in a way that, you know, take responsibility for that. What's the outcome? How do I stop that happening again?
Exactly, that's it, and that's the mindset. And you're quite right with time. When we spoke about, we always say, like, give or take, because everyone needs to sleep, of course, but everyone's got about 1,000 minutes a day. How do you use those minutes? And one thing which is, like, it sounds really like school-like, but I advise people to do is almost do a time audit. So literally tomorrow, you know, wake up, write down in, say, 15-minute intervals. What do you do in your time? Just do it for a day, 2 days, 3 days. Doesn't need to be a week. And you'll be amazed how much time you're wasting watching Netflix, or you're just on your phone, or in your social media. That's it. It's amazing. And another thing which we do about routine is a case of is I get up early. So give or take, I'll get up about 5:30, 5:45. So I'm up before the wife, up before the kids. I sneak downstairs, and that's my time. And just by being up earlier, a little bit before anyone else, I could get more stuff done, be more proactive, and technically be better than, in my mindset, the competition, because they're still asleep. And I actually use that time to do the one thing which I'm sure there's a small percentage who enjoy it, but going to the gym or exercise. I do that first thing in the morning because that's the hardest part of my day done. That's it. It's just done.
I'm exactly the same. So I've always been a little bit of a night owl. But I've changed that quite a bit, probably over the last year or so, or during lockdown, and tried to change it so that I could get up a little bit. And to be honest, I'm not a big sleeper as a whole, but so I'd be up reasonably early anyway. But I've changed it, so I'd do similar, 5:30. I'm up. I try and get me run, swim, whatever I'm going to do first thing. Come back, but like even we've just come back off when we're recording this. I've just come back off a 2-week holiday in Sicily. But so the kids usually go to bed at 7 and they're up at 7, but they was going to bed at 11 because we've got these shows and stuff. So I was up still at 6, half 6, going for me swim, coming back. They're all still in bed at 8:30. Just have that little bit of you time to start your day.
And
it's important.
That's the time where no one can, disrupt you. And
no
that time,
emails coming in.
Yeah. It's just brilliant. And also sometimes some of my clients will know, even though I email them at that time, and it's also it's the respect I give them. Like, wow, Rick's on it. It's not even 6 o'clock, and he's on it, just to show that I am on it. It's not just digital numbers, but I'm here, ready.
I'm interested though, just because there's quite a lot, and I'm conscious of this a lot. Like, I post a lot on social, and people say to me, "You did when you come and met me."
That's
it. You're doing loads of things, and you're doing this and there's something around this hustle culture, if you like, or this busyness that you're up and you're active and you're like constantly got to be doing something. I'm keen to see what your thought processes around that. How do you? Because I sometimes suffer with feeling guilty if I'm not being productive. I'm like you said, we've got all these minutes in a day. If I am just sitting there watching Netflix, I'm not being productive. Like, what's your relationship like with that?
That's a really good question, Sam, because it's a case of your day's filled up with so much stuff. And I guess, like in my calendar, like today, for a really good example. So the calendar, I do. But something which I use is to get FKD'd. It sounds like a swear word, listeners. I'm sure it's not. But it's finder, keeper, doer. So that's how I break my day up. Right. So finder is where I allocate time to find new clients, find new business. It could be posting on social media to help me get new business. Like this would effectively be a platform to help other people. It's just because I genuinely want to help other people. So that's the finder time, because every business owner wants their business to grow. But it's amazing how many people don't invest time in that because they are actually doing the doer, doing the work. So there's no time for finder. So your business doesn't actually grow because you've got no time doing it. So it's so important to spend time finder. The D for doer is actually doing the work, so it's doing the client work. And obviously the keeper, a little bit of doer, is the elements which I need to keep it all ticking over. So it could be like checking in with clients, checking in with the team, just doing admin tasks, etc. So that's how my calendar's broken down.
On a daily basis?
On a daily basis. So Monday to Friday, all finder, keeper, doer. But I also actually book in the time. So today, I'm very excited. Don't judge me, Sam, but Bake Off returns.
I'm quite love a bit of Bake Off.
I'm an absolute Bake Off fan. It's I said to my wife, Kate, I said, once we got married, that's it. We've got to watch marriage programs. What's marriage programs? And we sat down, I thought, Bake Off, that will do. And I've been hit for about 8 years.
Are you a baker? Do you bake?
Yes. So this year, every year, so I don't post really on my personal Instagram because I'd leave it personal. But the only time I post is when Bake Off. And today is Cake Week. So I'll bake a cake. And next week should be Biscuit Week, and we make biscuits. But this time, really excited. So I'll be baking with the kids. So with Darcy and Freddie.
Amazing.
So I'm going to get them involved. So tonight we have we're going to do a rainbow cake, and it became bigger. So we get the mother-in-law. She comes round, and I'm like, mother-in-law, you're only coming in if you've got a bake. So she comes in. We all watch it. So it's been great. But that will be booked in to my time, and especially again, not only work-wise, but as mentioned with the kids, it's time with that family, time with the kids. So I know that Darcy and Fred, they'll say, I used to bake cakes with my dad. Like,
love that.
You flip it around, and for them, they'll find that special, like really special. And going back to time, so my day is find a keeper, doer for work, but I also put in personal stuff. In my calendar. Maybe I need to put date night more in my calendar.
Don't we all, mate? Don't we
all? No, that's true. Happy wife, happy life. That's my motto.
Mate, that's really. But how are you then running your own business? Then it's really interesting to hear how much structure you put into something. Certainly, I'll take away from this. But like with the kids and stuff like that, so you put in that family time. I'm going to be baking with them. Are you good at going, right, work's done now, and I am completely in that moment, or do you how easy is it for you to switch off? I guess?
If I'm really honest with myself, I think it's taken me about 4 or 5 years to get to this point, because when starting the business, anxiety, bear in mind it was very important to be calm and chilled. If I didn't respond to your email within that nanosecond, I'll be like, oh my goodness, they're going to just fire me because they're not number one on Google. And it took a lot of time. And what I realised over the years with a lot of clients, a lot of them actually becomes friends, and a lot of them. You understand more about them, and likewise, I understand about me and the family and the kids, and then things become easier. And it has taken a long time, but it's only now which I'll be able to think, you know what, I'm going to dedicate that time, because a bit of guilt maybe if I know that I should have sent that, not necessarily should have sent that email, but I should check my email. It's such an easy habit. You keep checking,
of course.
And it's only until now where I've decided that you should only check your emails if I'm in a position to take action. Say if I was just waiting, I wouldn't check emails, because that email will come through, my brain will be like this. And a lot of things, again, the mindset, nothing's going to go wrong. The world's not going to turn on its head. A customer's not going to be, Rick, you did not respond. I get back to people within time because I've got structure. But it is hard. I ain't going to lie. It's absolutely hard. And the element I also struggle with, because I love doing what I do, it's not a chore. It's not like when I was employed, you used to get like, the Monday morning blues or Sunday night work dread. I don't get any of that, because I enjoy it. So that is actually harder, because I would keep going and going and going, but to kind of switch off with that family time, with that time with the wife, the kids, just. It is. So it's hard.
Tricky. It's a really
hard.
tricky. Like I say, it's something more for me trying to get from people to help me with stuff. Because it's something I really struggle with. Because I'm similar to you. All the things I do, I'm passionate about.
That's it.
And I think it's that narrative out there that around that's your work life, that's your home life, and that's it. But that has an impact on that. So. Work-life balance, does it look like, well, I'm going to start work at 9 and finish at 5, and then I'm going to spend time with the family from 6 till 8, and then it doesn't necessarily work like that.
That's it.
So I think as long as what I'm trying to tell myself, I guess, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts, is that whatever I'm doing at that time, try and be present in that moment at that time, and so rather than me go, right, I'm going to spend time with the kids now from 5 o'clock till 7 o'clock, that I'm sort of with the kids, but actually I'm looking at my phone and I'm just double checking. So I'll put that time in because I'm spending time with the kids, but really my head's elsewhere. So it's trying to be, but it's difficult sometimes to do running your own.
That's it. And I think it goes back to where we spoke about, obviously, with Russ, losing Russ. I remember still now, clearly now, I'd speak to him, and you got a customer waiting, and of course I was in work. Of course it was quiet. Of course no one else. Yeah. And it was a case of, it goes back to, no, that time I could have had longer. That's the thing. It goes back to, I could have had longer with Russ if I would have got someone else, or the customer, or it's different. So it's so hard to do, to switch off, because your thoughts will go through your processes. If you've had good conversations and you like, or bad conversations, or a lot of line up with the clients, we've got new ideas, and we're buzzing with the new ideas, and you've got to. I'd say literally it's taken me 4 or 5 years to really come to a stage where that's the structure, because I've learned no one's going to, the world's not going to explode or anything like that. It's okay, and people are realistic enough to understand. Do
you think COVID has changed that slightly, like the fact that people have gone into people's homes by doing Zoom? You've had Zoom calls and you've gone into people's homes and you've sort of got to know that person a little bit more, as opposed to that's a client or whatever. So, like you say, you get to know that person a little bit more, so there's a little bit more understanding. People going, actually, I am going to set boundaries. I'm not going to answer that email at 9 o'clock tonight, but you will get a response in the morning, and setting those boundaries is. But do you think COVID's enabled that to be a little bit more of an easier transition?
You know what, I think you're right. I think it's true, because thinking back on COVID, on Zoom calls, etc., I was very working from home. I was like, it's a case of kids be quiet. No, kids, you do whatever you want to do, because it actually brought in with the clients or friends, I'm a normal person, and they love that, and that's the mindset. I think because I work with such a vast corporate people, big corporate owners, which they look so scary, they're corporate, but they're actually normal people, family people. They're like things you wouldn't even imagine they liked if you didn't build that relationship. And I think from that I was very keen, it doesn't matter, kids, and they loved that. And then clients from Australia obviously get up nice and early, and Fred would come down, and what did he do, talking about Bluey because he's Australian, and just got them involved. And in a marketing point of view, they would never got that anywhere else. because it's all, you got to be corporate, you got to do this, you got to do that. Funny enough, comes back to what we spoke about, people buy people. So I think COVID has changed. It's kind of loosened it all up slightly and created a different mindset to be like, you know what, it is okay. It is okay.
I like that. Yeah. But I'm keen to talk about some maybe challenges you face, because I get this such positive energy from you. I can't imagine you having a bad day. I'm sure we will. But talk to me about some failures you've had maybe, or what's your relationship like with just some challenges you've faced over your career and even with the business as well.
Yeah, that's it. I guess one of the biggest, like lots of we get. I guess going back to working in, say, Toys R Us, Vodafone and O2, they're sales roles. So if I'm honest, I'm kind of used to rejection because no one wants to buy these mobile phones or these computers and stuff. And it's amazing because I'm used to that. It's like, it's fine. It's not a big deal, but amazing when you go into other businesses or speak to people, they're really affected. And I've dealt with a lot of rejection, but I think the biggest thing is, going back to when we started Itty Bitty, actually, that's pretty huge, where we started that, where I left my previous position in the job, so I had zero income, and unfortunately at the same time, Kate, she was made redundant. So literally there's zero income with a family to look after.
How old would the kids?
So Das would have been just born, so that was 7 years ago, give or take. So it's a case of that mental strength. Okay, so what am I going to do about it? I'm either going to just cry about it and just whinge and moan and the world's unfair, or okay, we've got to start something. And around that's where Itty Bitty started. It's a fun part. I remember watching mostly Brighton playing or playing FIFA, something like that. And Kate, the idea was, let's set up a website on the side just to pay childcare, because having a baby or having twins would be very expensive, as we know, Sam.
Absolutely.
So we're just full of that, and so Kate done all the product sourcing, the buying. I done the website marketing, perfect dream team, and we launched this website, ittybitty.co.uk, and it was about 3 weeks, and we had 0 orders. It was crazy. And then Kate realised, you know what? It's because we're trying to be like everyone else. So we just lowered the prices, got our first order in, and thought, wow, now what? And then we got another order and another order, and this was like simmering along. But because of where we was in a position whereby no income, no jobs, we had to make this work. And I call it the wall. And that feeling of anxiety and worry is the wall. And it's, it was awful, because how are we going to pay for the mortgage? How are we going to pay for the car? How are we going to pay for the family? How are we going to pay for food? Literally starting a business and speaking to so many businesses, and the stats that fell after the first year is incredible. And that's what I call the wall. That feeling like makes you feel sick. I may not show it, but it makes you feel sick. And I want to be as far away from that wall as possible. And that's been how I've kind of used that downtime to start Itty Bitty up with Kate, working together. And now it's insane. We have 100,000 followers on Facebook, 40,000 through Instagram, 1 million views on Pinterest. We have celebrities, and I just see it as a game. So it'll be like growing up as a kid, I used to love wrestling. So we've got a Miz. Oh, they've got a family. Could I get them to get some Itty Bitty stuff? Yep, got their address, sent stuff over. We got Christina Milan, obviously from the 90s. She follows us. We work with brands including Disney and Sam Fairs, Billy Fairs, and it's just me and Kate. So and we made this happen. And I think proud from that wall to where we are now. It's amazing, because we've survived COVID, we survived Brexit, we survived the first year startup, we survived this cost of living. So we're doing something right, but learning and adapting at the same time. But I think
being in it, and as well, like that, I guess as a family man as well, like sometimes you as a business owner, you go, I sometimes want to protect my wife from sometimes the things that are going on in the business, and go, this is like, we talk openly about it, but when I just had Fernballs and then COVID hit, you sort of Fernballs, events company, I can't do anything. So there was obviously, she was worried and blah blah blah. But then she's got a separate job. But then what I'm interested in the fact that you're both in that together. Then
that's it.
That's a challenging time, isn't it? Because at least if one of you's got an income of some kind, you go, okay, well, look, we're in it together, but my money's still coming in, so we've got something to survive. But when you're both in that business together and you've got that support network between the two of you, that's an amazing thing to get through.
That's it, and it's been like it's a crazy.
Has she got quite? Is she similar to you in the sense like she's got that positive outlook as well? Are you,
oh no, she's no,
should I not be asking a question about all?
Exactly, no. She's with Kate. She has, but she really has, because to be fair, we joke about it, husband and wife and stuff, but she's actually been, when you really think about it, pushing me along the way, indirectly, because otherwise I'm pretty laid back and chilled to go along, but she's been kept pushing and pushing and pushing, which has been really good, because if I didn't have that, we wouldn't be where we were today. And it goes back, and we joke about it, registering Itty Bitty. I was there playing FIFA, watching, and I thought, she's nagging. Oh, crikey. And I joke about this, but, and then we registered the next day, and then she was straight on me, right, let's get the logo, let's get a website. Brilliant. I was like, I've got to get on and do it. So she's been incredible to drive that Itty Bitty in another way, where I'm thinking about, okay, how are we going to market this, or followers and stuff. But yeah, she's got a real good mindset. And I think it goes back to, just simplified goals in life, and you want the kids to have a lovely upbringing. It's just,
it's interesting, because as much as there's some challenges with that, but there's some real positive, because you both get it, you're both in it together.
That's it.
You're both on that. You both want to drive it forward, because you're building something for your family.
That's it.
How is it talking about like indoors? Is it? I'll say there's work there and there's life there and blah blah blah, and they have that mixture. Is it work all the time? Like, how easy is that? Because I guess at least if you've got separate jobs or however that looks, you don't. But how do you not talk about the business?
Yeah, that's it. I guess it's because it's ourselves, and I guess we kind of blend in nicely. So it could be a case of, if Kate say if it's school holidays, she's out with the kids, I can quite easily blend in and go in there and do the Itty Bitty orders, do the emails. Likewise, where Kate can do the pictures of videos, so we can kind of dip in and dip out whilst kind of look after it in that period. But we've been really good to, even a case of once work's done, and because of once kids finish school or after school club, that's it. And I was like, no, we don't have to respond to people in the evening, because with like a retail shop like Itty Bitty, people in the evening, popular time with the messaging and stuff, and we're like, no, we don't actually need to respond. Again, goes back to, it took a while to really take that on board, because we need to respond, or we're going to get a bad review or anything. And I guess it's the mentality now, everyone wants it now, an instant, and it's like, no, it's okay, we don't have to, we can do it tomorrow. And it keeps our relationship really healthy, because in the evening we're of course watching Bake Off tonight, scoffing our face of world-class cakes baked by me and the kids, not the mother-in-laws. That's always I'm always there saying, this is a lovely cake. Who's
the best cook then, you or the missus?
Definitely the missus. That's it.
You have to bring the cake in next time,
exactly.
mate. I'll be the
judge.
I'll be the
You'll
judge.
be the judge.
Mate, that's really interesting. And like you said, that element of resilience, it's really fascinating to hear about the wall thing. I like that analogy, in the way that you just try and keep yourself as far away from that as possible.
And it was an awful time, because you realise that I think certain
with
times,
a young family,
and there was a period where, I think I would buy something in the shop and cards declined. Oh crikey! It's that feeling and the emotion that takes it straight back there. And I was like, I do not want to be there. I don't want to be a billionaire. Of course, everyone wants to be a billionaire, a millionaire. It's not about that. It's just to be as far away from that wall as possible, because I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But you've got to, I guess it's with marketing, and I guess when I speak to a lot of business owners who's just started up, and there's some crazy ideas, and I'm like, guys, no, you've got to simplify. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. This is how you do it. This is how it works. And Itty Bitty's been the success of the web studio, because that's the proof.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, Rick, okay, I want to have 100,000 followers. But here's Itty Bitty 100,000. This is how we done it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I never knew that, Rick. And you would searching for baby boutique, baby boutiques, page 1 of Google, baby boutique dresses, page 1. Well, that's the proof is there.
Yeah.
So we had to get it to work first time because we couldn't fail. And one of the things which I had a chat a while back, and it's a case of I tried to be too busy. I was too busy to fail. That was it. My mind said, I've got to do that if I don't do that, because I'm too busy to fail. And I won't fail because I was too busy filling up that time to do this, just to build that business up. Yeah. So I'll bring back to the busyness and not think about failing, and you won't fail. Yeah. But there's so many. It's amazing with the people I meet, with business owners, people starting up, people with ideas, because it's a broad spectrum, is that people just look at, I guess, the negatives for it, and awful saying, because there's so many businesses, new startups, got a business plan. If I told you, Sam, we did not have a business plan, because I believe, rightly or wrongly, listeners, is that the business plan I could write, I'm going to make 10 grand this month, 20 grand next month, it means nothing. You've got to go out there and do the work. And so many people, startups, they just do the easy stuff. They will quite happily spend money on a nice logo, quite happily spend a nice business card, quite happily spend a nice website. That's the easy stuff, that's the glamorous stuff, but they won't do the hard stuff to sell products online, or to get people to the website, or to hand leaflets
go
out.
and actually sell the product or service, whatever it is that you're trying to do.
That's
have
it.
those
People
conversations.
don't do that, and it's amazing. And I think that throughout the years I've got so much experience of businesses, because I've been there, done that. And I remember being at we just came back from Autumn Fair, so there's 2 big events every year: Spring Fair in spring and Autumn Fair in the autumn. And it's a massive trade show in NEC Birmingham, and we went there 5, 6, 7 years ago, and no one wanted to work with us. Who's Itty Bitty? You don't have who's your followers? Really? No, no one worked. We just came back there, and we've had conversations with big players because they all want to work with us. Wow. And the biggest take I tell people is that anyone wanting to start a business is a case of the best time is probably like yesterday. Yeah. The next best time is right now. Yeah. It's just to do it. Just do it, and don't let your brain take over. Just do it. Because
there's always, like you said, there's always so many reasons not to start a business. And there'd be so many people, that voice in your head going, but this could happen or that could happen. And what actually is the worst that could happen? And I think I've always been like that life's an opportunity. So you grab those opportunities. And I guess you look back at your situation, and probably the worst time to start a business. You haven't got either of you haven't got a job, no income, just had a young family. On paper, that would be the worst time to start a business. But to have the belief, like you said, to have the belief in that and go, we are going to make this work, and I guess that hunger that you've got for it. I remember I interviewed Kevin Byrne on here, who obviously sold Checker Trade 19 years. He talked about that period of time growing Checker Trade, when he knew that he had the hunger to go out there and make. Because he said now he's got some really good ideas to start something. He said his fear for not doing it now is that he's got that massive safety net now of 100 million or whatever he made. So he hasn't got that necessarily that hunger to go out there. Like when you've got to put food on the table for your kids, you've got that inside you.
You've got to make it work. And I guess with the web studio, when we started out and we got quotes for websites, for marketing, the costs were ridiculous. And no one would actually help us. And I find it fascinating. No one wouldn't, Rick, we'll help you out for a couple £100 or whatever. And that goes again back to the web studio, because I know exactly what it's like to start a business, but no one will help you. There's no book like how to run a business. There's none of that. And I think it goes back to the web studio, where again, we work with major corporations around the world, all the way through to makeup artists, one-man band, people, and I know they need help. And I guess it goes back to the passion. We genuinely want to help you, because that little business will be a big business in the future. You need someone to be on the same team, really.
And I guess the great thing with yourself as well, from the web studio point of view, is that, like you said, you've got a case study in your own business, maybe that you've gone, you know what, this is what I can achieve. this is because we've got the proofs in to
That's
put it in
it.
there, so we can do X, Y, and Z and help you create that as
That's
well.
it. And it's been a great success, especially on an international scale, because I'm against agencies in London, which are perceived bigger, and they'll have the lovely, sexy, glossy brochures.
Yeah.
But with most agencies, marketeers, they're just selling an idea. They're selling almost like the business plan. You know, this is the plan we're going to do. But actually, it doesn't work like that in the real world. But like, look, this is how we're going to do it. And it goes back to one of I was so proud. It was a case of I was invited to talk in Seattle for a WooCommerce/WordPress event. And they chose me to flew me over. It was insane. And there was a massive room of people around the world. And I remember like literally overlooking the where it was in the event centre. There was Seattle Seahawks in the other stadium. Just laughing to myself, like, what am I doing here? Because this is insane. They've got me to fly over, and I spoke for about an hour. The story of Itty Bitty, how we started it. Effectively, it was in the third bedroom. How we used WordPress and WooCommerce to promote it. How we got followers. How we just made a business effectively. And
from scratch, no idea. They're fascinating.
Just from scratch.
Yeah.
And awful, like, this is a little secret, listeners. Obviously, I'm in marketing. I'm sure I'm going to sell logos and stuff. But Itty Bitty logo, I paid someone $5 to do that logo to prove you don't need to spend crazy money on branding and marketing. Branding with logos and the colours and the psychology. I'm sure graphic designers will be cursing this right now, but it's just to prove a point. And Itty Bitty, like $5, that will do. Because that's not important at that stage. That's the easy stuff. It's the hard stuff.
It's implementing that, because an idea is a great idea on paper, but implementing that idea is where the hard work comes in, isn't it? I often say this to people I speak to about. They go, "Yeah, but I've come up with the idea, and that's great. But that idea is going to stay on that bit of paper or in your head until you implement it, or you get someone else to implement it, and that's where the hard work
And I say
comes.
that if you don't do it, someone else will.
Yeah.
And then by that point, you'll be crying, "Oh, I should have done that idea." Well, you had the opportunity, but people don't.
People
it's
don't
crazy.
take that. Like I said, because there's that fear factor, isn't there? That what happens if? What happens if? But like I said, what I love about the Itty Bitty story is that you didn't really the other option. Well, I've got to go and get a job somewhere. I've got to go. I've got to bring in some money. We've got a young family and that. But no, you actually believe in what you believe you can achieve, and go out there and well, look, you've made it happen.
Exactly, actually do it. It's just insane. It is, and that's the thing. I think from conversations, just once people just believe even a little bit, and that grows and grows, and then like it doesn't matter if you're selling cakes or you're cutting hair in a hairdresser's, barbers, or anything. You can make it work. It's so inspiring, but just being genuine just along the way.
I love that. Would you say that was that one of your career highlights, going into to Seattle and speaking at that point, or talk to me? I mean, it must be, or was it when you hit 100,000 followers on Itty Bitty? Tell me.
I guess it's definitely the Woo for the website. The WooCommerce was insane, because from that. And I remember like finishing my talk, and then people standing ovations. That was just like insane. And then it was a break time. It's about half an hour break time. And being in America, they had this like candy station, and I love M&Ms, peanut M&Ms. If anyone wants to sweet talk me over, it's peanut M&Ms. I loved it.
Got some in for today.
Oh, perfect. And there was a massive stand, and they had a bit like almost like a cookie jar full of it. I eyed them up, and I couldn't wait. So I went over there, and literally, I couldn't even get to it with people just coming up to me, questions. Amazing. Rick, Itty Bitty store is fantastic. What would you do with this? It was insane, and literally before the half an hour, the bell went ready for the next session. So begrudgingly, I didn't get my M&Ms, and it was amazing, like setup. But the conversations I had of just genuine people, like Rick, your story is fascinating. You know what? We want to do, and I think that really. That makes me happy. And another time, similar, I was lucky to talk at Brighton SEO. So
sure.
Where we are here, we have the biggest, I believe in Europe, SEO conference on our doorstep. Brighton SEO, I was a keynote speaker there. And I love that, because I'm talking in front of a room full of SEO experts, some which are much older than me, more experienced, some are brand new to it. And on my talk, I spoke about certain techniques and methods which works. Itty Bitty is a proof of this. And it was amazing. So the highlight, I would say, in the room, there's a fair few people, once I explained it, so you're all trained doing this, but actually, if we do it this way, it works. And a lot of people, like the penny dropped. They were like, Rick's right. Why are we doing it like that? And that was a highlight because I'm influencing experts with my methods. And the thing with SEO, with people will be told different things from India, from the UK. Everyone's an SEO expert, but it goes back to Itty Bitty. That's the proof in the pudding. But other experts and other peers to acknowledge, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I guess it's like O2, my time at O2, I was very lucky to be on this O2 Aspire program, and they chose the top 5% of the whole company all together, and it was an awards night with the owner of O2 at that point, and I won it. And I remember that I was just sitting down and they read out my name and I just didn't realise, and it didn't hit me. I won it, but it was voted by the peers. It wasn't like other management, it was other people chose me, and I wasn't the leader or anything. I wasn't outspoken. I'm actually surprisingly quite shy and quiet. I really am. I'm very much reserved, laid back, but it didn't hit me like these other people chose me out of everyone. It was insane. In the top of the O2, Telefonica, I think at that point. So there's a few good highlights.
What does success look like to you? Like you've achieved success. Bitty, and you've had that. But where are you in your mind? Like from a growth point of view, are you look at yourself? A successful businessman, and are you there in your head? That's this is what success is for me. And
there's something, I don't have it with me here because everyone could see it, but normally I have a bit of paper with me, A4 bit of paper, and on there it's got all the kind of material stuff. So it's like a nice house and cars and nice watch and stuff, and I've got a few things family related there, and that's like it's like I guess people have mood boards or Pinterest boards. Just put it there, but I have it with me every day, because otherwise, so many people are like, oh yeah, it's on my Pinterest board, it's on my laptop. You don't see it when it's there. You look at it, you kind of know why you're working for, and of course, deep down, I don't want to be like millionaire, mega money. That I just need to be comfortable, because I guess going back to the point where Kate was redundant, I had no income, no job. Just enough to live on, have that good memories. That's actually all I need. I'm happy with that. And I think for success, I have the little things, little games like, I would love to get that car. Okay, what do I need to do to get that material stuff? But I guess it's more.
That's interesting too. So let's touch on that though a little bit. Like you're saying that. From the material things, you're saying like you go back to that time when you were just starting out, you didn't have no money. You don't want to go back to that feeling. I get it, like talk about the war. Don't want to be in that position where carve declined or something. Like that. You want to come away from that situation. But actually, when you look at that, it's not a terrible period of your life in regards to where you are as an individual. Whereas when success, again, we look at success. And you listed some things like big house, nice car, and those type of things that. Because for me, that narrative around success is still that we put them to a financial gain. What that looks like. And on a personal level, I've searched inside myself, I guess, and look at going, actually, I think that narrative's got to change about it, because we were. Is it you only become a success if you've got £100 million coming into your business, if you've got the mansion in the thing? Rick's a really, really successful business person, but you already achieved that success, whatever size house or car you've got now, that level of success, because you've gone from having absolutely nothing to no job to starting a business that actually pays
the
for
mortgage,
you to pay the mortgage. So where does that? I guess that's what I'm just keen to look into that a little bit more in regards to. You have this bit of paper that's got these things on it, but is that still what you would deem then as you being successful? Or
I guess it's more. It's such a good question, because I guess the success is the word comfortable. So I don't have to worry. That's definitely the success. But along with that is the bit of paper like goals, just fun stuff. But I see it, as a game, really, because I can live without that nice car or like that watch or anything. I can live without that. But it's a game. Could I get that? Because brilliant, if I got that, now what can I get as a goal, as a material? But I think for success, it's definitely the comfortability for that. I also think a part of me
But where do you stop when you? Because again,
I guess it's true.
This is just, I just find this fascinating, this subject, because for me, there's always a conflict.
Yeah.
So I always look at thinking, I'm really ambitious, and I've got similar, like got these goals and these things you want to obtain or whatever. And as business owners, and you know, as running a business, you've got to set certain goals, haven't you, to try and achieve those.
Yeah.
But it's always then chasing to try and get somewhere, to get something, because you go, oh, when I get to that point, that's when I've got this big euphoria, and that's when I'll be successful, that's when I'll be happy, and that's when. Whereas actually, it's trying to go, I don't need that. I don't need to set that goal, because ultimately just where we are right now and that journey is where the happiness and the process.
I guess something which I've got, which is quite fun, it kind of relates nicely, and I don't know anyone else who does this, but in the studio I've got, what's it, Facetune, there's an app where you take a picture and you age yourself, so it's me. So basically it kind of comes into success of how I kind of forward it, is there's like a 50-year-old Ricky Whiting picture on there. I look okay, got a bit of a white beard and stuff.
Hair,
so
mate, I tell you what,
definitely all grey.
Aging a dance like better than I am. So.
Oh, I bet you. So there's, and I guess with success, if I'm kind of, it goes into being comfortable, but I'm actually working for Future Rick. That's who I'm working for. People always ask me, like, who are you working for? Is it the wife? Is it the kids? And partly, is it for myself? Partly, but it's actually for future Ricky. So that in 10 years' time, so when I'm 50, then it's a case of that will be as cheesy as it is, but that is success, because I can actually have the time to stop and look back and actually like, we did it. I've got, loving family, loving wife, beautiful children. We can go on these lovely holidays and enjoy time. So that's, I guess it goes back to, that's something which I've got, which I don't show that picture out, and it's different.
That is, that's a really interesting. I love that analogy, but I think not. Again, I'm just looking at future Ricky in 50. You're sort of going, I'm going to get to that point. Then I'll look back and I'll go, look at what I've achieved and where I've come. Whereas. And again, it's just more for me as an individual. I look at what I struggle with, I guess, because I was really adamant to be at that situation and look back. But ultimately, you've got a lovely family and a lovely wife, and you've got all them things right now. And again, alluding back to the point that you made earlier about trying to be present in the moment and be where you are right now. And actually take stock of what you've achieved up until this point, and rather than wait until 50-year-old Rick, look at 40-year-old what you've done and what you've achieved already, and actually, wow, like
it is amazing. And I think funny, me and Kate said that last Wednesday. I guess we never stopped to think like, wow, actually we've done great, and actually no one tells you it. No one. I think the biggest cheerleader will mostly be with any business owner, mostly their mothers. Well done, son or daughter, you've done it. But no one actually tells you, well done, you've done a great job. And it's true within the business world. With client, no one says well done because they don't know on there. So I always think that, because it's almost like, we've achieved success now, and I guess it's that unfulfilled potential. I guess. Oh, I get that. I guess, and that's another worry, which I don't want to. And that's why I use the 50-year-old pictures. So I'm working to that one. So I know that once I get there, I don't want to think, I've wasted time. I could have done it. I just don't want to waste. But it's weird because I guess I have. We've got businesses running, surviving your Brexit and surviving COVID and surviving all of this, which is amazing. And the other thing, I guess, which I think we're really good at, is I guess we stay in our lane. So we just focus on us, because I know there's a lot of businesses which will look at other businesses in their same industry and they worry about what they do or what they post or what they do this. And like, no, mentally you stay in your own lane and let them swim out, just let them just do what they do, let them learn, because it's very easy to be like, hang on, they're doing that, or maybe we should do that, why they do, and then you kind of get
by those external factors.
Exactly. And if you stay in your own lane, you will get to the end goal faster. And I guess it's really weird, because I guess we haven't had time to actually breathe the success, but also because of the accelerators on, for me, because I do it for future Rick, so I can, that's my point, not finish line, but I want to make sure that when I get there I can look back and like, you know what, it's, brilliant, we done this. And almost like, I guess it's that mindset, so the kids will know, like, oh, Dad works really hard, because that's all I ask, just try and work hard. And for other people, just to realise, like, an everyday person can start a business, run a business, help other businesses and influence other businesses, which is actually, when you, again, I don't have the time to really think, actually, when I'm saying it here, it's actually pretty cool. And businesses like clients in Australia and Italy and New York, it's like, it's insane. There's people over there, but they're choosing me for a reason, and we get results. But I guess it's, you know what? It's a great question, Sam, because we've never had a moment to stop and think. Actually, like, wow. And then these material goals are just little goals, like little treats. Like, could I do that? And the way I see it is a case of, like, say if we wanted something like, oh, let's get, I don't know, a new laptop. How much is a laptop? Oh, so now my mindset, right, I need to get a client. And basically, that client, he's Mr. Laptop. Or that car, oh, you're Mr. like Defender. Or you're, it's just games to me of how I see it. But I can quite happily live without, that. I can live without that. But they're little games just to keep the journey entertaining in a fun way.
I'm certainly, there's a part of me that's agreeing with you, because I know I'm similar to that, and but I try and check in with myself, I think, because there is a part of me that does think that euphoria moment that we're promising ourselves when we get to 50-year-old Rick, and you go, oh, that's when I'm going to look back, that actually you get there, and that's not that big euphoria moment that you wanted it to be, and because there may be a number in your head that you go, right, I'm going to get to 100 million, and that's my number, and then I'll be comfortable, because I'll look back, because then all it does is move the dial a little bit, and then you'll get to 50-year-old and you go, actually, because I've got to this stage, I only just need to keep that going, and then I'll get to this stage, and what does 60-year-old Rick look like, and then I'll look back and enjoy it. But I think it's trying, I guess, and again, like I say, for me, it's looking at going, actually, the journey and the process. So between 40 and 50-year-old Rick, enjoy that journey and that process as much as you possibly can.
That is spot on, exactly that. And when I think about it along the way, it's like all of the energy and work and clients and growing the business helps, do nice holidays and stuff and nice memories. And it, funny enough, goes back to, I guess, being a dad. That family time. I think time is, again, being older now, like, time is the biggest value. And it's funny you say about a number. For me, honestly, I don't have a number. I don't care if a millionaire or billionaire. Of course, it gets not nice things, but it's not that. It's to be comfortable away from that wall. But then it allows me the memories and time, because I think time is the biggest value, and we speak about it all the time. And I think how I do my mindset for 50-year-old Rick, to make sure I use this time the best I can, because knowing that will, give the kids
time again.
That's it.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? It's as a parent, you go, our kids are similar, like
that's it,
7, and you've got a younger one as well. But you look at it and go,
wow,
how quick those 7 years have gone, and you sort of look, wow, how much they've grown, and not to have missed out on any. And luckily, I feel like I've been around. I do work long hours, but because we run our own businesses, you can sort of, don't miss school plays and stuff like that. So trying to get that balance right. What does that look like? Have I got it right? Probably not, but do the best we can.
That's it. And I think with my previous jobs, literally I'd travel, I was out the door before 7, come home after 7. So I wouldn't see them in the morning, and when they're little, they're already in bed. And since running a business, it does definitely give the freedom. And it's like, again, time, memories. I think it's just memories, because I always want to make sure that, I'm there, and you flip it around their little brains and their memories, and you're like, they will know about this and they'll see this, and
I think it's a good thing to have that strong work ethic. Like, there's one thing that I was never the most academic at school, and I didn't do that great and come out of it, but one thing I've always had is a really, really strong work ethic. A couple of things I'd love the kids to take from me. Hopefully a lot from my wife, because she's the academic and she's got the brains and everything and the looks, so we'll let her have them. But for me, hopefully they get a strong work ethic and be a good person. Just be a good people person and be able to communicate and build relationships. Those two things, if they can get that, then hopefully that'll hold them in some good stead, I think.
Yeah, second that, spot on. The attitude, always go back to attitude, just to have the right attitude attitude, and just try.
Yeah.
All I ask is just try, have a go, just try. And as we said, what's going to happen?
Yeah. I want to touch on the worst that can happen as well. I want to talk about, but I want to talk about again the starting something. And because so much like people listen to this and take from you your energy, but you're also your can-do attitude and the thought of going, well, I'm going to say with Itty Bitty, but then talk to me then about obviously being an author as well.
Yeah,
the 2 books that you brought
I know,
down
that's
today.
Here you go.
Love that.
Not doing a shameful plug, Sam.
Mate,
Here you go.
That,
Picture the scene.
Yeah.
Well, these books, this is a great thing. So obviously, on my when I was 38, so I thought, okay, what could I do as a goal, which is different to what I'm comfortable in? Yeah. And it's like, shall I write a book? God, that'd be cool, right? Yeah. But now I'm not a writer. I'm not academic. Terrible. Yeah. It's totally out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And the goal was, okay, 38, I've got 2 years. If I do something by I'm 40, and then there's something called the Parkinson's law. Yeah. And what that is when you set yourself a goal, a target, an end date, you'll get it done. So it doesn't matter. So at that point, what is it, January? So could I get it done by my 39th birthday or my 40th? Well, it's the same distance. And what happens is, if it was the 40th, you got all this noise like, oh, I'll write a little bit tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll do it next month. But if that goal was moved forward, so like 3 months, you'll actually get the same result. So with Picture the Scene, a phrase I use all the time. So I thought, can I write a book about marketing, which more about SEO and lots of techniques to help people, because I have a lot of people who started up who's quite happily spent £10 on a book to learn a few techniques. And we did it. So I published it. It's on Amazon, iTunes, iBook Store, it's on Rakuten, it's on everywhere. And bizarrely, I actually don't promote the book. I've done this more so to showcase and help people when I meet, but you won't see me like flogging the book apart from this shameless plug right here. But with this, it's a case of, it's insane internationally. People read it from Canada, but with the Kindle version. And it's like, this is insane from that. And then it came to this year, could I write another book? So we got Dream Big Dreams, and this talks about 4 pillars of marketing, or the 4 areas of marketing to continue on with this. And again, could I do this in a shorter time frame? And here we go, it's published, it's on there. And I mostly carry it on as well. And it's just goals, because anyone can set a goal in life or business. Most people will talk about it. So 99% of people will fail because they won't do it. But the 1% actually will do it, succeed on it, and just get it done. And the sensation of it, the fact it's like, it's crazy. Like,
what an achievement! Like, again, that's what I find fascinating. I just love that can-do attitude, the belief that you go, I can do this and I will do it. So I will. If you put your mind to it, you can. I believe that. I think if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. And if you truly believe it, like again, you move the goalposts and stuff like that. But for me, like, I want to bring out our family cookbook because which is one of them things we're putting together. But again, that's a goal I put in my head that I will do, and at some point, I will bring out a family. But I love what you're saying about them goalposts and going, actually, if I just commit to that and go, can I bring that out sooner rather than
exactly wait? And all I'd done was use the time in the morning, so waking up at 5:30, 5:45, those 45 minutes just before I'd exercise, I'd use that time to write parts of the books. And it's amazing. So when I'd done the first book, Kate didn't know. So I would sneak downstairs, I'm just working. And it wasn't until it arrived, I think, on the day, so, all those mornings, those 3 months, I was actually writing this. And when you mention you got a book, like, I'll be networking and like blah 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 blah, got a book, everyone talks to you about the book. It's like, what? It's amazing, because there's not many people I know who can publish it. I'll get Dave, and it's crazy because these were the draft ones, but this is actual hardback. When it arrived, I was like, it's an actual book, this is nuts. And I was invited, one of the first, to have actually a hardback edition as well as paper form. It's amazing. Just little goals to set yourself, and actually it's a tool which I can actually give out just to help people. Going back to when we started, and anyone starting a business, because you don't need a lot, but there's a lot of tips on there which will help people. Just like, that's a good thing, let me do that. Or
can you reference the book and some of and obviously some stuff that you talked about, obviously in Seattle, but maybe give some of the listeners some top tips maybe for from like an SEO marketing point of view.
So let's give some free top tips.
Mate,
look
absolutely.
At that. And again, I think so.
The value in this.
Exactly. Here we go, all your listeners. And again, let's give you some real good top tips. So actually, I'll give you 3 top tips, and hopefully you wouldn't have heard these elsewhere. So the first one, your hosting. Yeah. Your website hosting. So when I was in Seattle, there was all these geeks there, and they're all talking about hosting and Web 2.0. And I was like, seriously, you're telling me hosting will make a difference? And they're like, yep. Now we were hosted with mostly Amazon at that point, and I remember coming back. That was in the fall. Come back to January the 1st, and then I moved Itty Bitty over to a new host. So with all of our clients, we use Google Cloud. It's the best of the best. It's Google. We want Google to rank us. It's fast. It's scalable. There'll be cheaper ones and there's expensive ones, but this is dedicated hosting purely for SEO. And it makes a huge difference. Right. So many business owners will be quite happily paying your cheap GoDaddy or your 123 reg. You don't need it. No. If you're Google, a part of SEO is about speed and performance. Not necessarily, there's elements of the page loading up, but it's the time from once they clicked on www. The server point, that needs to be fast. By changing your hosting to a better provider will instantly give you SEO brownie points, and it's like easy to do. Anyone can do it, but people don't do that. They go on about keywords, meta tags, like. I'm telling you something actually anyone can do. So it doesn't matter, startup or big company hosting. And we would suggest Google Cloud. Obviously, we host websites, but that will make an impact straight away for hosting.
Awesome.
Another one, which people mostly won't know, is Pinterest. A top secret of SEO. So everyone posts on Instagram, mostly LinkedIn, mostly Facebook, but no one posts on Pinterest. So what Pinterest and why it's so special is that when you use your post, whatever you post, you just copy and post on Pinterest. So we use tools like Buffer. Generally costs from $10 a month. So you can create a post and it will go to all your social media accounts.
Sure.
But what Pinterest is that when you have a pin stored, it creates a backlink from that Pinterest to your website. Right. Okay. What makes it even more special is that when Pinterest and someone saves that pin, so say if they're in, Canada, they save that pin, it gets saved to pinterest.co.ca, the Canada version of Pinterest. So that's a backlink from another Pinterest site. If they're from Brazil, it's saved from the Brazilian Pinterest. So it's very easy to have multiple Pinterest URLs direct into your site, and the Google sees this as like, hang on, you've got all of a sudden celebrity friends. Because Pinterest, people don't use Pinterest because they're like, I'm not going to sell my business through Pinterest, but you're not doing it through that. You're doing it to strengthen the signal to your website. But people don't use Pinterest. So a top tip, which you ain't going to hear anywhere else, which will help. And the final one, which I'll bring up because it's more relevant with Google's latest update, the helpful update, is blogs. I speak to so many businesses and they blog because it's cool to blog. They should be blogging. They're blogging. And they're blogging about absolute nonsense. Now, Google's latest update is about how helpful your website is. That's how they're going to, deem it. And a blog is a great way to answer questions. So what I advise listeners, doesn't matter what your business is write down a list of questions you get asked all the time. So if you're in construction, they'll ask, can you make this out of, lead, or can you make this, your candles, can you make it this? Just questions, everyday questions, like, of course you can, easy. And that will be what you're going to blog about. You don't recreate the wheel in the sense of blog about random stuff. You're actually just effectively blogging about questions that people are asking, which Google will then deem you're being helpful with the latest update because it affects the whole site. And we call this inbound marketing. So people search, when you go on Google, you're asking a question, cooking. So I don't know, how to make a rainbow cake, question mark, and lots of websites. And it's the same thing in your business, but that should form under blogs. And a lot of the terminology I'll be using is almost like a knowledge center, which is a blog, a knowledge center, because Google wants whatever you're searching for. When you search, you want to be number one. Number one would be the most relevant, and that's your opportunity through the blog page to answer those questions. So Google deems you number one, and also where you've got, say, Siri, Alexa, OK Google, it's got to give you an answer, and it can't be a paid ad, so it's not pay-per-click ads, and it needs to be a trusted source. So they're using all this intelligence to be like, what's the best cookbook to buy? Oh, it's Sam's cookbook. That's it. It's going to tell you. So your blogs. So going back to blogs, so everyone blogs, but you've literally got to do it through questions and answers.
So a blog should be a Q&A as opposed to
blogging about some random stuff which no one's going to search for, but people do it to be cool and seen. You can blend it in, so you can write all valuable stuff, and then I've just been sent this bunch of flowers from a client. That's fine. But not all the time. It should be blended in, because Google wants your knowledge hub. And it's amazing, because when we help other businesses, say in real estate, so estate agencies, sell houses. That's all they focus on. But when you do blogs, and then you go into deeper, and you're talking about, say, the area, Brighton or Hove, and you just list the top 5 restaurants to eat at, top 10 nurseries, about the community, about the area through a blog. So it's indirectly that piles in traffic, and it builds up and up and up, and effectively Google will trust your site as a whole. But a lot of business owners will be like, well, that's not going to sell me that listing. They don't see the long-term goal. And
this is a long game, I guess, with Google. But anything, I guess, with Google, it is more of a longer game as opposed to, or any form of marketing, really. Anything is more of a longer strategy. It's not something you go, right, okay, I'm just going to put that on there and I'm going to get 100,000 or whatever that looks like within 2 minutes.
That's it. And that's where I think with SEO, it is always long. I tell people it's always long goal, but once you're there and you're page one, it's fantastic. But actually, once you're there, it's harder, because your competitors are like, hang on, how did you get there? And I tell everyone this: don't expect to get there and that's it.
Stay there.
Everyone's like, they want that top spot. You've just taken it from them, and it becomes harder. But that's kind of what we do. But I think, hopefully, for your listeners, they're free, really useful advice from your blogs, your Pinterest. Definitely your Pinterest, everyone, and your hosting. Simple fix. Just pay a bit more for your hosting. You'll notice the difference. Totally.
Thank you, mate. That's gold. That's gold.
No
I appreciate it. Well, look, I want to move on. I want to talk about, obviously, you've got a different business interest. We talked a little bit, quite lengthy actually, about the whole success sort of side of stuff. But I'm keen up. Again, one of the things that I've reframed that success. I asked that today, but I've reframed it a little bit recently, because I'm trying to delve a little bit deeper into and find out a little bit more what actually happiness is to people, as opposed to, because like I said, there's that success side and that narrative around success, and I'm trying to work at changing that narrative a little bit more. But just talk to me a little bit about that.
I guess that's a really good thing with happiness. I guess it goes back to when we spoke about the journey, I think there's little things, so that like with certain things, little goals, like remember starting out, and then just like little things, like anything from starting out eating foods or whatever, like you've got that little bit now, the extra income that can get you that better quality food, or you can go out to a nice restaurant, or to the cars we've like stepped up, and they give glimpses of happiness along that journey. I think for myself it's a case of definitely the journey and the glimpses, because they're goals and stuff, and I want them, but I guess being cheesy is also the fact that, and it's happened a few times, which is a bitter pill, because it is really positive and negative, is that where we've had, unfortunately clients had to leave because they've been brought out. Now that's happiness, because I played an impact. I've got their business to a level through marketing, through SEO, and now they've been brought out. And of course they're no longer, because they've got the new company team, so they no longer can work with me. But I actually helped with that, and that is a bittersweet. But the fact that I know that I actually can help businesses, local businesses, international businesses, and because I enjoy what I'm doing, that's another little, it's like almost like pockets of happiness along the way of stuff directly through to family life. So we were lucky, so we just came back from New York, when was it? End of May. So really, really lucky. We was invited to go to New York to Sirhan HQ. So Ryan Sirhan and his team, he's the most followed real estate broker on the planet. He's huge. Invited over, met with the team, spoke about a lot about marketing and how they're willing, how we're branding, all sorts. I'm not even an estate agent. I don't sell houses, and I'm the only one who's supposed to have ever been there. It was just insane. Wow. And I didn't realise until that point, like, wow, that was a big deal. I just thought through like YouTube or through $1 Million Listing, anyone could walk in. Like, no. It was security pass upstairs. It was insane. And it's those little bits of happiness because the family went. So it was technically a business trip, but we took the family to New York, a bit like yourself, obviously. It was Sicily. So I proposed to Kate in New York, in Brooklyn, and that was always my personal goal. Can I go back there with the kids? Amazing. In my head, it was when they're much older, like 16, 17, 18. I would never imagine doing it now. And then it got us thinking, like, why not? And I think because of New York, you think it's busy and stuff, and it is busy. And like with Fred, like he's 4, like, it's a lot of walking, but we took the buggy stroller. Best thing, you know what? I don't have to wait until they're old. I've done it now, and it made me so happy. So it's
so celebrating. I guess them wins are on the way, isn't it?
That's
it's celebrating
it.
Whatever that small win looks like. It's taking a moment to recognise them. And
I guess that's it. I guess there's no real success or milestone or figure, not for me anyway. It's these little snippets of happiness along that journey, and actually knowing that somehow I'm doing something right because of the like fondness, but also not only for us but for others. And I always say to people, especially in the marketing world, to be brave and do this, be brave and do that. And I guess there's lots of clients I've got who will be listening. The fact will be like, Rick's, I played a role or impact or advice or an ear or something. I played a part, and that's what I love. And it's like, again, those snippets of happiness along the journey, and the fact that I can help people and have the skills or advice just to help. All combines a happiness. So I guess there's not one, but little bits of family and memories and goals, and we'll see it like obviously when it comes up to our 10-year wedding anniversary. Like, where could we go? Like, we were very lucky, but we went to Bora Bora because we said, "We've got on honeymoon. Where should we go? Bora Bora. Let's go there. What can we do? Different little places and holidays." And that's it. I guess it's those material things, which I know that once we get there, that's the moment. I guess holidays, you can take a moment just to stop and reflect. What you've achieved, and then you go again. And I think the biggest success is the journey. I guess it's great because I don't really talk about it. It's not like I have a chat with clients or friends and we talk about it. Sure. But when I think back on this, it's the journey of where we came from to where we are now. The one thing I tell other clients is that, like, for me, I use me as an example. Like, clients around the world, New York is so cool. Like, oh well, I've got clients in New York and Australia and all these countries. But my biggest client, I haven't even met yet. They're around the corner. So, and that's the mindset I have. Like, wow, I won't know who they are, and they're going to become my biggest one, and then someone else will become my biggest one, and that's always the forward-thinking mentality to have. Which carries on to the success or the happiness along the way. So that's a real good question, Sam. But little pockets of happiness.
Taking the moments to recognise those. I guess that's where it's key, isn't it? That's what I've taken from that. Like, you trying to take those moments, those little key moments of happiness, but actually taking the moment to recognise them and enjoying those bits. That's it. And it's like, for me, it's something like with Seattle. Like, I love coffee. I love Starbucks. I love Starbucks purely because when I propose, the smell and the aromas from New York, and when I propose, and all my clients will know a lot of our meetings with Starbucks for that. But I remember coming back from Seattle, walking back, and I got a Starbucks. It was in the fall, pumpkin spice latte, and thought, I'm here in Seattle, and I was lucky enough to see their reserve and the first Starbucks at Pike Place. That's insane, but that happened because of the stuff I do, and it wasn't by chance. It was actually working hard to get that, and I guess it's a mixture, but those little pockets of like, wow, we've achieved that just by working hard. And I always go back to, if I look after the work, the work will look after me. So it goes back to, if I do the work for my clients and grow their businesses and stuff, that's all I've got to do. As long as I do that, the work will look after me through these, moments and involving and influencing other businesses and business owners. Love that. Mate, it's been fascinating. So we're coming towards the end. I want to talk talk to me. What does the future hold for?
That's it. Well, look at that 50-year-old Ricky Whiting.
Mate, I want to see that picture.
I know, that's it. I'll make sure I wouldn't bring it today. But I guess it's that's who I'm working for, and it's been great because I've got platforms like books. I've helped lots of people locally, and I want to help more people locally. And I think there's lots of routes I could go down, and I most probably, if I'm honest, like with the book, that was outside my comfort zone. So coaching's a great way, and I kind of do it already. I go into marketing teams and help give advice, but maybe more of a platform. But one thing I think I mostly will look to do is, like, Itty Bitty was great, and at that time, baby clothes, I didn't know what to do. Like, we just had a newborn. I may try to do something similar like that. Just replicate it again, and almost maybe look to document it, to actually give free advice, like, hi, because people won't do that. They'll say, I've got this business and I'll make all these £1 million. But actually I said, all right, okay, right, here's the business, and I may even, something I'm not even no idea about, like, I don't know, interior designs or candles, something random, which is a hard sell, just to prove how you would do it and actually document it. So maybe stuff like that. Coaching courses has always been there for that opportunity. Funny enough, another opportunity, YouTube is a fantastic platform, but almost like creating own content where people follow me, because like there's so much content out there, like how to improve your website and SEO. Get a camera crew to follow me, and also other business ideas, just to prove, or not to prove, I see it as a challenge, but also strengthens up that the marketing techniques we apply to not only Itty Bitty, the web studio, and other clients all around. It does work. Here it is with another industry. So it will be an exciting future on there as well. It is.
Seems like a lot of, taking out what you say, so much of it, your passion for helping people actually is, you can tell that comes across, like with the web studio and stuff like that, but just the advice you're given, but listening to the type of things that you want to do in the future moving forward. It relates to creating content, informing people, advising, and from your success and your stories, how can you help other people? And I think that's a really endearing quality to have, something that it is a great attribute to have, to be able to go, like, this is what actually everything I want to do is just to help and support other people.
And it goes back to Itty Bitty. No one bothered to help us. No one wanted. No one cared. And I guess with the industry we're in, there's so many marketing companies, so many agencies. It is a minefield who to choose, and I'm just a small percentage from that, and I'm sure they're going to be brilliant and great at what they do. But it goes back to the proof's in the pudding, and there's different ways. You don't have to have a big budget. If you've got a big budget, great. If you don't, there's ways around it. But it's just to be, to just genuinely want to help and stuff, and more than happy. And if likewise, we normally do website reports. Any listeners, they can message me directly, LinkedIn and what have you. Happy to provide, and you don't have to work with us. Give them to your own web studio team to implement, because the idea is it will help grow your business, get more traffic. The traffic go into followers, and I guess the only thing, as another top tip, maybe I speak to a lot of people that spend a lot of money getting people to the website, but no one optimizes their website. It's crazy. So there's lots of free tools out there, like Hotjar you can install, which will track people, how they use the website and to make the changes to get the sales. There's loads of wins. So again, any of your followers, listeners, I'm happy to help, have a chat. Of course, treat me to Starbucks, and that's it.
That is the key.
That's
Starbucks and some peanut M&Ms.
Exactly. That's it.
You're in. Oh, mate, listen, thanks so much for coming on. It's been fascinating talking to you. I love your energy, your positivity. The advice has been amazing, so it's been great. Thank you for coming on and sharing your journey with us as well. And it's been great to find a bit more out about Itty Bitty, which I didn't know as much about. So it's been great to find out a lot more about that and that whole journey and where it started and stuff. So, and look, mate, I wish you and future Rick continue success. But look, as always, we finish off with our quick fire questions. So I'm just
go for it.
Crack on. What one piece of advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Definitely, I would say a case of start now. Start if you had a business idea back then, which I would have done. Now's the time to start. Just do it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't be influenced. Just do it, because what's the worst going to happen? Like, I guess I'd rather regret the things I didn't do rather than things I did. And for that methodology, just do now. That's the best advice I would give.
Love that. Right, who has been your biggest inspiration throughout your journey, and why?
So that would be a name which people may not know. It'd be Ryan Serhant. He's from $1 Million Listing, New York. So it's a real estate program. It's on Bravo or Hey You. It follows real estate agents selling beautiful multi-million-dollar properties. And what's been great about Ryan is that I chose him. I chose one kind of mentor to follow, because you can be influenced by different ways, techniques, but stick with one. Is that he's not a real estate agent. He was actually an actor. He's from Texas, went to New York. He didn't make it in acting, and he had a choice. Does he go back to Texas, or does he stay and somehow find a way to afford the very expensive New York lifestyle? And that's what he did. He went into real estate, and he would just start up, and he actually built his real estate business to guess where he's now the most followed brand. And for me, to be able to be invited to go into his HQ in Soho, New York, was just insane. And through Itty Bitty, we've sent his daughter Zena Valentine's stuff and some shoes and sandals. And for me, I just see it as a game, because I follow him. I was like, why not? Let's see what's the worst going to happen. Let's say no. And so Ryan Serhant, $1 Million List in New York.
Amazing. I will check that out, definitely. And look, final one, mate.
Yeah.
Can you recommend a business book, or other than your own,
That's
obviously,
or
podcast for any listeners that maybe had an impact on you?
I would say I'll go back to, again, Ryan Serhant, because people over here wouldn't really know of him.
Yeah.
He's got a book called Big Money Energy.
Okay.
And a lot of stuff, it's great following. It's a lot of stuff I do already, so I know it's a winner on there as well. And he basically talks about your energy, your kind of your presence, your kind of to be proactive. He's talking about how you come across. It's an amazing business book, because I've never read anything like it. It's all about facts and numbers. But he's Big Money Energy, and he's got lots of business people involved with that in his ecosystem. Grant Cardell, he's author of 10 times. So it's on the right track. So, and because I do a lot of things already, I'm like, you know what, perfect. So that's the one. So Ryan's book, Big Money Energy.
Amazing, mate. Thanks again. It's been awesome.
So good, Sam.
And that, as they say, sir, is a wrap.
Thanks so much, Sam. Brilliant stuff.